Hello, everyone. So it's been a while since my last video entry. I don't even know if this is a continuation of that series. I think this is something different. But yeah, I was doing video entries about 10 years ago, just to kind of catalog my writing and what I was working on. And it's been 10 years since I last did it. It's funny how you think, oh, I only stopped doing that like a couple months ago. And reality was 10 years ago. And of course, just rewatching some of the videos, I'm like, oh my God, I look so young in those videos. The ravages of time have definitely taken their toll. Definitely on my hair color at the very least. And I think my hairline is not as good as it used to be. So a little bit shocking to look at that and to, reconsider what I was doing at that time and to think about what I'm doing now. So to give like a brief update on everything. Back then, I was working on a novel. I had, well, to give my whole recent novel writing and writing history, when I was in my MFA program almost 15 years ago, I was working on a novel. And I worked on a novel and I completed a novel. And I sent it out to a lot of places. And unfortunately, it was not picked up or chosen to be published. But I completed it. I was very proud that I'd been able to complete a novel. And I'd worked with some of the writers in the MFA program, and they were very helpful and very encouraging. So, um, at least from that standpoint, working on the novel was really good for me. It was very disappointing when I wasn't able to sell it. And then as I kind of moved away from the novel, I felt a little ashamed or embarrassed about the work that I'd done in the novel, and the fact that it wasn't published um, made me feel very embarrassed. And so it was very hard for me to talk about it. And yeah, it can be tough to deal with rejection and to deal with quote unquote failure. So I tried as my best to put that book aside and then to almost immediately begin working on a new novel, and kind of like try to lose myself in that process of writing a new novel. And that's what my video essays were about. They were often about the second novel that I was working on. And I wrote a lot. I think I mentioned in my last video that I'd done about 30,000 words. So I was doing a lot of good writing. But I think at some point I just kind of got stuck. I think that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing the video essays or the diary entries was because of the lack of movement on my writing. And I think too, I kind of realized that I didn't really have a clear plan for the book, and the task seemed to be getting bigger and bigger as I wrote, and not smaller and smaller. And so eventually, I basically just put the book aside and worked on some short stories because I was having more success getting those published, and they were bringing me more pleasure because I was getting short stories published in various literary magazines, and it seemed like I was on the right path with that stuff. And then in around 2018, so a few years after I stopped doing the video essays, I began writing some, what I thought at the beginning were just short stories, but as I progressed, they kind of started to coalesce into something larger. And I think the big kind of moment for me with working on this newer piece was that um, in my previous writing experience, at least for the novel that I was working on with the video essays, was I was really trying to invent something out of my head and like come up with a whole plot, an idea that um, was coming out of my head, and it wasn't really tethered to my life in any way. And as I worked on it, I just became I just wondered what the purpose of the writing was. And what helped me, what kind of grounded me as I was working on this new novel that I've been working on, is that I started to kind of really focus on autobiographical elements and using my own stories as something to ground what I was writing, and not writing them as they happen, but rewriting them in a way that felt real to me, but that also were that took their inspiration from real life, but that went beyond it. And I think this is a pretty obvious and standard way to approach writing. It was just not the way I approached it. I guess I was always trying to I think a lot of the times when I was writing, I was often trying to present myself in a particular way that I hoped would seem intelligent and sophisticated. And there was something very freeing about moving away from that, and moving to a place where I was just telling a story that I was feeling like kind of compelled to tell. And so I started working on it in 2018, and then I worked on various components, and then I started to realize that it could almost be. At first, I thought it was going to be a collection of linked stories, and then as I developed more and I worked with an editor on the stories, it came to seem like it could actually be a novel. It could be a novel because the characters were similar in each of the stories. They connected, and I could actually develop a plot through it. Um, and so, with that knowledge and with the editor giving me some ideas, um, I moved forward with the building of a first draft that has 12 chapters, 4 characters, and there's each character has 3 chapters each. And so I've completed a first draft of the novel, and I'm happy with the first draft. I really do like it. I feel very proud of it, and I really want it to be published. Um, and um, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to do a major revision of it. So I've revised the individual chapters one by one, but I'm really trying to bring it together cohesively, and so that you know, there's more of a connection between each of the parts, and certain themes are built up through the various chapters. So for this summer, I've been trying to work on doing the complete full revision of this manuscript that I have, and I've gotten about halfway through, which is good. It's good. It's better than nothing, but it is also not as far as I want it to be, and I only have about 2 weeks left of my vacation to complete the rest of it. And I'm not going to complete the full revision for the rest of the book. But I had to go through a whole process of forgiving myself for not completing the revision, and knowing that it's okay. I can just keep working on it. And also lots of feelings and emotions about, you know, being too old, being that my even when I complete it, no one will care about it. Like all these feelings. It's been tough to go through all of that and to think about. I mean, there's so many feelings that I have. With the rise of AI was something I never even had to think about years ago. But as a writer, knowing or feeling like the skill of writing has been devalued in the last few years because of AI, it that really took a toll on me as well. So I think it's pretty good what I've done so far, and I'm really trying to get to a place where I can send it out and show it to people, but um, not quite there yet. But yeah, so I knowing that I'm kind of in this place where I'm trying to get as much work done as possible on it, I've decided to maybe start some of these videos again, just as a way to, I guess, talk through some of my worries and concerns about the revision process. And yeah, I mean, I think I felt happy doing those video entries before because it was a way for me to talk about it in a manner where um, it's not so much in my own head, like too often um, just writing these things down can be just another part of your wheel spinning. And I think almost creating a video helps kind of concretize or make real some of these decisions or ideas or thoughts you're having. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of why I want to do this. So yeah, I'm currently about halfway through my manuscript, and so just to give you a visual idea of what I'm doing, so I have printed off the entire manuscript here, and it's in this binder, and then I have all these little post-its on the sides of things that I have marked off that I really need to work on, and so there's quite a bit that I still need to work on, and some of them are like minor things, like I'm trying to add like details about the characters' lives so that they come throughout, they're woven throughout the book. But then some of them are big things where I'm like trying to figure out, oh, would the character actually act like this, or is this really what I should do in this scene, or what have you? So lots to think about. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to capture today. But yeah, I don't know if anyone will be interested in watching these videos except for myself, but if they are, I hope you do find this interesting. Um, at the very least, this is me just trying to capture what it's like to be a creative writer who's trying to do something interesting, who sometimes is lost in his own head about this stuff. So, yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy my next video, and yeah, please stick around if you do.